to
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Happy Hump Day. It's Wednesday morning. It's all downhill from here. I'm Gary Sutton, and welcome to the Gary Sutton Show, live from Brooks Robinson Plaza right here at Wellspan Park. As we get ready for the newest Revolution season coming up here late April, early May, and we're just getting excited. It's getting feverish around here as people are starting to do all kinds of little things to get ready. I saw them making boxes for the bobblehead dolls the other day, Mark, and all kinds of interesting things going on. And, you know, this show all brought to you by Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law. Yeah, 117 East Market Street right here in New York. They've been around since 1937, but what they share in common with us is they cater to the Main Street folk of York and York County, York City and York County, and they can help you with a lot of your law needs when they come up, things that need representation, things that need lawyer advice, and they are ready to help you in a host of areas, from estate planning to estate administration to family law, municipal law. And you can give them a call at 717-846-8811. Hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5. And Kindness Worldwide. You know, Kevin Smith started an act of kindness by receiving a wallet back that he had lost, and he returned that by bringing attention to it and then said, you know what, there's a lot more I can do. And he has been spreading it all over the world since then. And he asked the question with kindnessworldwide.org, why not you, why not us, why not now? Kindness is free and the world's greatest superpower, and it merely requires a personal choice by each of us to unleash the vast potential, which he's trying to do, and so many of us are trying to help. kindnessworldwide.org. Check it out. You can text us today at our text line at the back nine text line, 833-478-4729. The back nine located at 259A Pauline Drive, right out there at South York Plaza next to Giant, and the hottest indoor facility right now, air-conditioned as well. I should mention that now. We were talking about warmth before. All of a sudden in the last week it becomes air conditioning, and it's just a beautiful climate-controlled place inside. You can watch the game on big screen TV right there in your bay while you're playing Pebble Beach. Or this week would be like TPC Sawgrass, which is one of the games they have on there. You can actually play that course, Mark. And so there you go. So all of that today. Don't forget you can podcast our show at WOYK on YouTube after the show. And my question of the day that's up today, the little video question. Some kids were asked, could they make it through a whole day without looking at their smartphone once? You know how many of them were able to do it? 0% couldn't do it. So I asked the same question as you. Could you make it through the whole day without looking at your smartphone one time? I challenge you to try that, but you can answer that question this morning and talk about it a little bit, have a little fun with it, and we'll get into some of that later on today. So all of that out there for you this morning. We are live on Instagram and YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and anywhere else near you that you can think about that we could be on right now.
Trying to get in front of your face.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're right here in front of your face this morning with our voice, and there is Mark McKenzie. And Mark, today is National Promposal Day.
Yes.
National Johnny Appleseed Day.
Yeah.
6 days until St. Patrick's Day, and 21 days until April Fool's Day, which we won't even spend much time on. But National Promposal Day. Do you remember when you had to make a proposal to bring a girl to the prom? Do you remember that first time?
I didn't ask a girl to the prom when I was in high school. I met a girl after that, and I asked her to her prom, and we did go. I was a freshman.
So you must have done well.
I was a freshman in college.
You were?
Yes.
You had a little bit of experience.
Her name was Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember the first proposal I had to make, and it was, awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awkward. I did have a girlfriend at the time, so it wasn't as awkward as it could have been, but it was still awkward. It was,
well, wait a second. So, you had a girlfriend and you asked somebody else to the prom?
No, I asked her to the prom.
Oh,
I
okay.
asked her, yeah.
All right, so it was already.
Yeah, it would have been really
was
awkward.
Was it a four?
It would have been really awkward if I asked somebody else.
Was it a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, I guess. But, I was like, 16, 17 at the time. And it was like, we could fumble that up pretty well.
Okay. I'm going to say the most embarrassing picture of me in my entire life.
Oh, this covers a little bit.
Is the picture that I believe my mother took. Because I brought my date to the house so that so they could
They could fuss over you and do all that stuff.
so they could do the pictures and all that. And I have a picture. The picture of me for that prom is the most embarrassing picture.
So it hasn't really left. You can just now talk about it.
In my lifetime.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I can say it now because I don't
Really?
even know if I have a copy of it.
Yeah.
But I had platform shoes on.
Okay.
I had a yellow jacket, black pants.
This was what, like the late 60s?
70, I think this was 74.
74.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So right in the middle of the disco era.
yes, well, no, actually just before it. But it was just getting cranking.
Yeah.
And a bright yellow tuxedo top.
Oh, my.
And this haircut that did not last long, but unfortunately is memorialized.
Was around during that time.
It was around during
On that day.
photography.
Yes. Yes.
It's just bad.
Oh, my.
Oh my. Anyway, let's just move on.
I looked rather dapper, I might
Did
say.
you?
In my pic. I did. And I'm not.
Was it traditional?
Yeah, well, more or less. Yeah, I
Okay.
was. But I think I wore a black tuxedo
Yes.
at that time instead of the white
Tradition.
top, the normal.
Yes.
This is my first tuxedo top.
Yes.
Here I'll look like and I remember I felt like kind of a groundbreaker even then. I was wearing black, which it looked dapper.
Yes.
My girlfriend did not look as good as she normally did. She did some with her hair, I remember, and I didn't like it, but I didn't say it to her. I mean,
Right. Well, yeah.
but I didn't like it. It just was. Ew. I was going to say, why don't you stand over here while I take the picture, and then you can come back later on.
Yeah, promposal is not. It wasn't even called that back then.
No, I know you just did it.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't. And it isn't that funny. Something you mentioned there. We didn't have names for everything that we did, or for every storm that came along, or for every hurricane that came down. We didn't have names for everything back then. Back then, we were men, and we were tough. We didn't need names. We just did it.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It is. Let's
Got out of control
continue.
there.
Let's jump to. It's a National Worship of Tools Day. Do you worship tools?
No, I
Me
don't.
neither.
No.
World Plumbing Day. Dream Day.
Kind of need that. World
Meaning
plumbing.
you do need it.
Yeah, you do. Be a bad smell around the house if you didn't have it.
National Funeral Director and Mortician Recognition Day.
Good Lord. Well, yeah, I mean, and they're kind of necessary too.
Yeah, I wanted to expose this rather than bury it.
Oh my Lord. Was that? Yeah, actually, it wasn't
terrible.
bad though. The way you said it, though.
I know.
The way you said it was pretty
real
good.
quick,
It was a
yes.
good spin of a phrase.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Again, another two more people that we really need there. When you think about it,
Yes.
otherwse, same things we said about the
Absolutely.
plumbing. It would stink a lot about the house. But
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Wash your nose day.
Do you? I mean,
Do you have to be told?
no.
Right.
But I mean, what?
There
I mean,
had to be a day for that?
But do you have to like?
It's
It's like wash your armpits. Day.
I just- yes,
It's kind of like
yes.
things you probably just do because you do it. Yeah.
Yes. I just want
Use
to.
deodorant day.
I want to let the listeners know that
The things that we have to.
exactly
Cite,
the slings and arrows of outrageous.
You know what the problem with that is, though? That somebody didn't do that. Otherwise, there had not been a need for it.
Perhaps you're right.
See, because by process of elimination, there was somebody that said, man, this guy's got a dirty nose.
It is a big day because COVID-19 Global Pandemic Day was on this date.
man, remember
the
that.
World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal.
Boy, I remember that.
And everything changed at work, and it was crazy.
It's crazy. And everybody had to go, you're going to go home and do your show from home now
Yes,
on.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was deemed essential. That was always
You
a lot
were
of fun.
deemed
And
essential.
it was like 4 of us in that huge
You know what? I
building.
always resented that, and I
Really?
got to tell you why.
Okay.
It always bothered me, and I really am. I'm being very serious when I say this. this essential worker thing. That's a term that was used in the Nazi Holocaust.
Yeah, but I don't
during the camps. But I did. I thought about that because
Did you?
I'm a historian. Yeah, and it was like really bothersome to me that people use that term. Use something else. Like I'm really important. Or whatever, but don't
doesn't
use
flow.
that essential and non-essential, because every book you ever read, if you were an essential worker, you escaped the gas chambers. If you weren't an essential worker, you were going to the gas chambers, and that was I just always had a tough time, still do to this day, when people say I'm an essential worker. In Schindler's List, there's a one-armed guy that gets killed because he says I'm an essential worker. I work in Schindler's factory, and the guards shoot him, and so I just isn't it funny? Not funny, but. It's unusual how it kind of hits you a certain way. But there you go.
Food holidays. It is Registered Dietitian Day.
Registered
So
dietitian.
avoid them.
Well, avoid the unregistered ones. The registered ones, you're probably okay. If someone comes up and says, by the way, I'm an unregistered dietitian, what does that mean? Some guy handing you a Twinkie? I mean, what is that all about?
And it is National Sofrito Day.
What is a sofrito?
A sofrito is a...
You're our resident culinary
It's like a Caribbean, Latin ingredient that is... it's in itself made up of several ingredients.
Okay.
So it's usually onions, I know are in there, some peppers, it might have a little bit of spice, some garlic, and it's cooked into this substance
I'm looking
that
at it.
you can then add to other things. Where a recipe might have, well, in this recipe, you start with onions and then you add some garlic and then you do the, well.
They're like gently fried or something, aren't they?
It's a shorthand. You make sofrito.
Yeah.
And then you can buy sofrito if you feel
It's like something that goes with other stuff.
It's stuff that is already, you're a jump ahead with sofrito.
Like if you're making a taco and you throw in like the rice and the other stuff together, it's kind of like that a little bit.
I don't know if they use sofrito for tacos. I'm going to say they use it for, I want to say Caribbean, the Eastern Latin. I could be.
I'm reading here. It said sometimes they add to a Spanish sofrito. They might include tomatoes.
Yes.
Cuban versions might add ham.
Yes.
It serves a similar purpose to fresh mirepoix or the Creole Holy Trinity.
I can't believe I didn't think of that. Yes, that's exactly right. Well, most people don't call it Holy Trinity, but they might call it, maybe in the New Orleans cooking.
So it's a foundation.
Yes,
it's not really a dish on its own.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Right. You could start every dish with all those
sofrito.
Ingredients separately,
Like a soup. You could make a soup with that too.
Or you can use sofrito and kind of jump ahead because they already did it.
There it is.
Now,
and by the way, when you look at it, it looks like someone had a shot at it already, but it's not a real good look.
Yeah,
but
well, it's already
it's
cooked.
what it is.
It's already been in a pan. Coming up after the break,
on that, didn't I?
we will do.
Go ahead.
There's some very interesting things happened on this date, aside from the stuff we've already mentioned, and I also have the opening day for the Revs, and we had a big basketball game last night. I'll have some highlights.
Got a couple of them that happened last night, and two teams that we know of moving ahead into the quarterfinals now of the state championships, all straight ahead, right here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's a Wednesday morning on WOYK.
quickly to the right corner. McLean fires a three. It's good. Knocks down her third of the night, her 70th of the year. Timeout Emmaus, and Dallastown goes up 7. Dallastown wanted a foul. Now they have a steal. McLean ahead. Jamison the layup, and it's a 1-point game with 1:05 to go. Here's Scovich to McLean squares. Fires and hits the three deep on the left wing. It's a 1-point game on her 6th trifecta of the night. DeVita spent her dribble. Right corner, Glover drives in, puts it up over the rim. Jamison the rebound. It's over. Dallastown is on to the quarterfinals. An overtime win. 68-65 in overtime. Another York Adams League team is moving on.
So the Dallastown girls move on with a 68-65 OT win last night over Emmaus from up in the northern part of the state. And they will now face Cannon McMillan on Friday. And that game Friday night in the quarterfinals of the state now. On the other side of things, on the other part of the bracket in girls 6A, Red Lion went on to win again, 46-40 over Easton. And they're going to play a very tough team on Friday night. The first place winner out of the Philadelphia area in the Catholic League, Archbishop Carroll, who's been there a lot of times over the years. So they've got themselves a big battle there on Friday night as well. But getting to the quarterfinals of the state, both Red Lion and Dallastown, the next door rivals and neighbors, continue making history. And who knows? Wouldn't it be interesting if the two of them met up? They would meet up in the state championship game, Mark, if everything worked out perfectly. Of course, tonight we've got a doubleheader coming up. And
it is Central Boys versus Father Judge.
The defending state champions, by the way.
That is in Reading, by the way.
That's in Reading. And that's the first game of a doubleheader at 5:45. And in the second game, you have York High and Imhotep Charter, who I think has the most state championships in the state. They're out of Philadelphia as well. So two very tough teams out of Philly. And that'll be the 7:30 game, York High and Imhotep Charter. So, again, York very well represented this year. And this is the top bracket of the 6A.
York and Philly,
schools.
the basketball cities.
Right now it is, isn't it? I mean, it really looks like that. So, rather interesting. You got some other stories for us this morning, too.
Let's talk about, since we're on sports, you mentioned that we were in Wellspan Park, and you mentioned the Revolution getting ready for a new season. And opening day is also starts with a home opener. And it's a 3-game set.
Opening days usually do start with the home openers.
And, sometimes it's
just the Department of Redundancy department.
Well, like Orioles, sometimes they start on the road.
Picking on you.
Oh, all right. Anyway, well, I don't know a whole lot about it.
It's terrible when I have to explain that I'm picking on you. I mean, normally you understand it, but
this is
flashcard.
Anyway,
no, go ahead. I'll be fine.
Battle of the Roses. It's April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And always a good way to...
Looking forward to that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also interesting looking at the schedule that they're doing a lot of that, bunch... I don't know what you call that. Like bunch programming after the first couple of months because... who's HP? HP is High Point. So High Point
North
comes
Carolina.
in for 6, or they go down there for 6.
They're doing it differently this year.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a smart thing, and it saves money too on travel.
Right.
You get six games in town or 6 games out of town, and
Yes.
that's something they're doing for the first time this season. I think it's going to be kind of cool.
Now, let's move on to, let's go back to this.
By the way, go to YorkRevolution.com.
Yes.
And check out, by the way, the Revs Insider Experience. They have limited availability on that. On-deck VIP passes, ballpark warm-up packages. They've got all kinds of different opportunities there that you can get. The Silver Slugger possibilities for you people who are 55 and older. There's all kinds of great things at YorkRevolution.com. Check it out as we get ready for the season. Mark?
So on this date, March... Well, what day is it? Oh,
11th.
March 11th. I knew that. 1774, English auction house Sotheby's holds its very first auction.
And is still doing it today.
They are. Do you know what their first auction, what did they auction?
I don't know.
What would you guess?
The colonies?
Book.
No, sorry.
The book.
It's about that time the colonies were raising little Cain. Yeah, so.
It is books. Yes. On this date, 1892, the very first public basketball game is held.
Oh.
Where?
Springfield, Mass?
That's it. That's it. It was on this date. Let's flash forward to 1958.
By the way, what was interesting about that first basketball game is that
was Naismith playing?
Darrell Henry and Andy Bria didn't do it on radio. It was about one of the few.
Right. On this date, 1958, an American B-47 accidentally dropped a nuclear bomb 15,000 feet on a family home in Mars Bluff, South Carolina. It creates a crater 75 feet across. The good news was the bomb didn't have its nuclear capsule.
That would have been news now. We would have known that. Okay.
Yes.
And you know what the pilot said?
What's that?
Oops. It's a...
Moving on.
No, nobody was hurt on that, right?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
I'm assuming not.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
the family home needed a little bit of work.
Sure.
Yeah.
On this date, 1964, Gene Roddenberry had this idea. And you know when they say, let's do lunch? Let's do lunch?
Yes.
In Hollywood, they did lunch. And he had a 16-page pitch for a TV series called... That's it, Star Trek.
Yeah.
And, of course, it didn't premiere until September 1966. So
Captain Kirk started to overact. Yes.
I saw him on a...
I have a plan.
I saw him on a... everybody knows the famous... Twilight Zone,
yes,
where he sees the creature on the wing and nobody trusts him. He was in another one, and I was looking at it. It said the date was like 1961 or 62. Yeah, and I told Deb, I said, "What do you think he would have said if I told him then? You're going to be alive like 56 years from now or 66 years from now." Anyway, moving on.
Well, one other thing about Star Trek, they always had the best looking ladies in that. I mean, we were young guys then. And they were beautiful, every one of them.
On this date, 1986, they had calculated in Rome that it had been 1 million days since the city was founded in 753 BC. On this date, 1997, Paul McCartney knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. It was on this date in 2020 that former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein sentenced to 23 years in prison.
And still serving the state now.
That's right. And he's got perhaps more charges coming.
Yeah.
And lastly, it was on this date a year ago. I didn't remember this, but astronomers announced the discovery of more moons around the planet Saturn.
Yeah.
Do you know, and it almost doubled the number of moons. How many moons do you think are around Saturn?
I'm going to say like 15.
See, I would have said something similar, maybe 20. It's 274.
Wow.
Yeah, when would that happen?
They had that many around my fraternity house one time. But that was a whole different story. By the way, the one thing I always noticed in Star Trek, if you were getting beamed up somewhere or beamed down, and something happened wrong with the beamer, and you were like, Private Smith, you were gone. They always lost somebody in those things.
It was the red shirts.
Yeah, the guys that were coming along that nobody ever heard of. It was never going to be Captain Kirk or Spock or any of those guys.
Yes.
It was always going to be one of those guys. So if
the red shirt security detail.
You should have known, don't go on that ride because you're not coming back.
Goner.
You can go early in the show and no one's going to miss you.
Yes.
And they're going, oh, yeah, okay, that guy was there. He got vaporized. Sorry. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got news coming your way all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is a Wednesday morning at 6:30.
are my fire, the one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way.
I say that every day at my house. It never works. I want it that way. My wife said, no, this is going to be my way or the highway. No. Debbie's she's very nice that way. Anyway, welcome back to Gary Sutton Show here on a Wednesday morning where it is 6:35. That means it's time for Michael Gear, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute, who joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show. Is that way at your house, Michael? Yeah, I want it that way, the song right here, and your wife says, maybe not so much. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Some days it's one way, other days it's the other way.
Yes. It sounds like Yogi Berra, kind of. Come to the fork in the road, take it. Yeah. Anyway, great to have you in this morning. So, what's happening in your neck of the woods these days? Your world. I sound like Willard Scott there. Your neck of the woods. But what's happening with the Pennsylvania Family Institute these days?
Well, interesting hearing took place and committee vote yesterday at the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in the Judiciary Committee. And I want to specifically give a shout out to State Representative Kate Klunk from there in York County. I just appreciate her leadership and what she does. On the, as you know, listeners probably know, the House Democrats are in charge of the legislature in the House of Representatives, and they make the decisions on who sits on what committees. And in terms of numbers, Democrats on the Judiciary Committee have a 14-12 advantage. And there was a series of bills that we have at Pennsylvania Family Institute has raised concerns about, the biggest one being House Bill 300, which adds sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression to the State Human Relations Code. And we've been fighting legislation like this for about 30 years, and successfully fighting it. Came up again yesterday for a vote with a series of other bills, and everyone, the Democrats voted in lockstep in support of them. And I could talk more about that, but what I really want to point out is that then at the end of that committee vote, there was a piece of legislation, girls' sports, protecting girls' sports, that should have come up in that committee for a vote. And the committee chairman, Tim Briggs from Montgomery County, quickly made a motion to refer the bill to yet another committee. I think that's third, fourth, the fifth time that the Democrats have done it. They keep pushing this bill from one committee to another to prevent it from coming up for a vote.
Right.
Because they don't want to be on record saying that, their constituents, I should say their special interest groups, don't want them to protect girls' sports. And so they, rather than actually getting a vote on the record on it, they just pass it off to another committee. In this case, they, in this sort of procedural way to avoid a reckoning on this legislation, they just
kick it on down the road.
Kicked it down the road to this other committee, which
we'll kick it to another committee eventually. Yeah.
Right. Well, Kate Klunk's on both committees, and she spoke very strongly, saying, when are we going to support girls' sports? She said, I was an athlete myself. I have daughters I have daughters. I coach.
Right.
We need to protect girls' sports. We need to protect locker room privacy. These Democrats simply won't let that even come up for a vote, and she was pretty irritated with this yet procedural thing to avoid doing what the vast majority of York County residents, what the vast majority of Pennsylvanians, what the vast majority of Americans want, which is to keep the sports separated.
You know what's interesting about that, Mike, and having been a coach and being around that kind of thing, but also watching politics on the periphery, you're in a little bit closer to that than I am. But the fact that they won't just vote on it, on an up or down, right, where you say, okay, I'm going to go on record here as saying I am opposed to women's sports being protected. Okay, go on there and have the courage and say, okay, I'm opposed to that, because what your constituents generally are going to say. And so you say, well, the groups that are giving me some money and supporting my campaigns and the never-ending election time don't want me to do that. And so I'm not going to vote there, my conscience. So what I'll do, the coward's way out, is kick it down to another committee. And if you keep on kicking it from committee to committee and keep doing that over and over again, you delay it until after an election. And then you can go in there when you're really brave and early and maybe vote on it at that time if you have the guts then, which you probably don't at that point, too. So is that a good summation of what's going on?
That's a perfect summation of what's going on, and it's appalling. And that was why Kate Klunk was so irritated, because she knows what the people of Pennsylvania and the people of York County sent her there to do, what all the other legislators are voted by constituents are sent there to do, and yet they're refusing to do it because they are beholden to particular ideology or special interest, and whatever the well-being of Pennsylvania's girls and fairness in sports and stuff be damned, basically, is what they're saying. And again, this is not the first time they've kicked it from one committee to another. They keep doing it just to extend out the amount of time. Each time that it gets to a new committee, then the clock starts ticking, and eventually they're supposed to take action, and then they just, they seem to be in a big cabal of agreement to just say, well, we'll just pass it on and pass it on and pass it on. And many committees, so who knows how long they're going to keep up this ruse.
And this is what's maddening about representation. Representation means represent. Okay, go out there and represent what you think the interests are of the people who have sent you there. And I would dare say that probably a lot of these people, in this case happens to be Democrats. Republicans have been known to do the same thing on other issues sometimes too. But in this case, the Democrats who are doing this are, I'll bet you behind the scenes, if you talk, they'd say, yeah, you know what? I know what I believe, and I think I know what most people believe. But you know what? The reality is, here's what's happening, and I'm getting pressure, and my party's saying this. And what happens is you become beholden to the caucus, or you become beholden to an ideology instead of representing your constituents. I had a guy come back one time who was representing us in one of our districts here in York County, and he said, it's a lot worse in Harrisburg than I thought it was. He said, what do I do? And I said, come back wearing your honor. Represent the people. Don't walk over that bridge into caucusdom and burn it behind you, and you can't come back. I said, represent your people and represent what you know your people want. And I would dare say most of these people know what their people want. They're just afraid of the special interest, their caucus, the ideology. And that can happen on either party, but it really gets disgusting when they don't understand what real representation is all about.
That's exactly right, and there's no issue that's much clearer than this particular one in terms of where the people stand on protecting girls' sports. I mean, it's plainly obvious, and many of them will even the chairman of this committee said, he didn't say anything like, I don't want to vote on this because, or I don't want my caucus to vote on this, or my fellow Democrat members to vote on this because, our special interests don't want us to. They said, we think that that the Children and Youth Committee is the better place for this because and what was interesting when you talk about voting in lockstep or with the caucus, the Republican chairman, minority chairman of the committee challenged this referral and the decision of a particular decision of the chairman of the committee, Tim Briggs. He challenged it, and when a procedural challenge is put forth, it's supposed to then go to a roll call vote where the different members of the committee say, we support the challenge or we oppose the challenge. In this case, the challenge was made, and the chairman of the committee just said all Democrats vote no on the challenge. He didn't even do a roll call vote, because he knows that the 14 of them are going to vote in lockstep. That he did on every bill that was before the committee that day. It's as if they're just robots that are beholden to a particular ideology and commitment, and they don't divert from it.
And therein lies the great problem with representation. Now imagine all the various committees, whether it's Republicans in a majority or Democrats in a majority, they control how many people are on the committee. You have a majority, and to assume that you are voting in a block is one of the biggest insults I can imagine you could make to individual representation of your individual district. It's amazing. In other words, stand up for what you believe. I can remember when I was on a jury and we had to stand up and say death penalty or not death penalty. I remember my knees got weak because that was one of the most consequential things I ever had to do. Well, same thing here. It's not the death penalty, but you know what? By the same token, stand up for your beliefs and stand up and say something. One of the things that people like, I think, about Senator Fetterman right now, he's not afraid to stand up and say what he believes on different issues, and he's coming as close to, I think, what real representation is about. as anybody I see out there right now. Your thoughts?
No, I think that's one of the reasons why he's getting the headlines that he's getting. I mean, he's just not walking in lockstep with his party, and he's saying what he thinks. He's saying that I'm going to represent my constituents. There are plenty of things that Senator Fetterman votes on or positions that he takes that I don't agree with, but at least he's making the case for these are the things that I stand for. These are the things that I think are right or wrong, and I'm going to act on them based on those things and based on what I think my constituents want.
He's not kicking it to somebody else. And, you could say the same thing about a Marjorie Taylor Greene, where we had a special election in Georgia last night, who said, I don't agree with President Trump. Boom. I quit. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. And, you can say, all right, I can agree or disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I can agree or disagree with Senator Fetterman, but at least they're out there putting it on the line. And that's what we want to see for our representatives. Put your opinion on the line. And if you think it's the right thing to do, then say it. If you don't think it's the right thing to do, then say you don't. But don't go hiding behind the fact that you're in the majority and you're beholden to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly right. So as I started this conversation, Representative Kate Klunk and other Republicans on that committee, but specifically Kate Klunk, she was very specifically bold on this girls' sports thing as the can was kicked down the road. She said, okay, if this is what you're going to do, she said, I think it's wrong, but I'll take it in my committee, the committee where she also sits, and that's Children and Youth. And she said, and I'm going to fight for girls because of my own daughters, because of the daughters across Pennsylvania that deserve to be represented correctly. And hopefully, as it gets to that committee and the voice of the people will be heard, maybe things will change.
Well, the voice of the people hopefully will be heard and not the voice of politics. And that's the problem. Yes. We're not making good policy right now because of the money, because of the special interest, because of the ideology, because your particular group decided they're going to fight on this. Have the courage of your convictions. And I know that sounds like I'm standing up on the pulpit, but really the courage of your convictions and knowing what you're representing, for heaven's sakes. I mean, final thoughts, Michael.
You're making me think of a movie. We should call it Mr. Sutton Goes to Washington. So
I never could play Jimmy Stewart in that. I wouldn't be good at it. But yeah, it annoys the heck out of you that it's that hard for people to come to grips with, you know what? Here I am. The next election be damned. I'm going to stand up for what's right here. I'm going to stand up for what my people want, period. I mean, I can't even believe that there's an alternative thinking for anybody out there, but I guess there is. It comes back to that idea, and I know you know this more than anybody, Michael. A lot of good people go to Harrisburg, and a lot of good people go to Washington with those kind of convictions in mind, and when they come back, they're not the same people because they have been beaten to death by caucuses, beaten to death by raising money, beaten to death by all these these special interests, and to stand tall against that means they're probably not going to have a very long time there, because if you stand up for yourself, you're going to get beaten down by the caucus in the long run. It's a shame that a system is beating down what could be very good representation in the long run.
Well, it is sad, but I will say that there are some stand-up people. I mentioned one, here in this conversation here. Others even from York County, Kristen Phillips Hills, great legislator, a number of good ones. And that's because I think there's good citizen involvement in the county there that make a difference. And I think your radio show is part of the reason why that's the case. Well,
it's very kind of you to say that. But, I'm rooting for people to fight the system. I root for people to give their own opinions. We talk about Senator Fetterman, for example. He's going to get primaried to death now by a whole lot of people, a lot of money from the Democrats going and getting rid of him because they don't like the fact that someone is willing to stand up against the party. And I suspect Republicans, same thing. They don't like the fact that someone's standing up maybe against President Trump or somebody like that, and they want to go out and do that. And to me, when someone's doing that, they attract my attention because I think, they must be thinking on their own a little bit. So instead of this groupthink that we seem to get with our parties right now. But anyway. Yep. Michael, great conversation this morning. Thank you, as always, my friend, and I hope people will check out pafamily.org. They can find out a lot more about HB 300 and what went on with those hearings. Michael, always appreciate what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Gary.
Have a great week. Michael Geer, president of the Pennsylvania Families Institute, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back with more right after this.
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy.
The birthdays. Bobby McFerrin has a birthday today.
One of the simplest songs ever, but you just feel happy. And whenever you watch the video, it's kind of a fun video, too.
Yes, it's got Robin Williams.
Sure.
And I forget this gentleman's name, but he's a famous clown, sort of, I believe.
Right.
Anyway, Bobby McFerrin, 76. A guy who, it's not that he's turning 55 today, this guy, but not that that's a particularly significant birthday.
Right.
But how many people thought Johnny Knoxville would make it to 55?
Yeah. All the stuff he did with the, Jackass movies. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
My wife gets so annoyed when those used to be. I watched one night, and then I said something about switching to one channel, and it was on a service. You had to pay for it. And I said, well, I don't watch this. She goes, you are not paying good money to watch Jackass.
Really?
And I know she did. She said,
I agree with her.
This is ridiculous. And I found her laughing at some of the stuff because it was so insane. That the stuff they did, it's amazing that they didn't kill themselves. I mean, really.
Without a doubt.
These guys did stuff. I remember the one where they were working their way across a rope over a crocodile-infested pool or swamp or something. And it was like a pool, I guess it was. And they had like a chicken hanging from their underwear. It was like the dumbest thing you've ever seen in your life. But isn't he afraid? What's the show now? Johnny Knoxville is the host of.
I know he is working.
Where you do the stupid tricks. I mean, it's a perfect thing.
Yes, he's the perfect.
The fact that he's working is also, it says something about the TV that we watch.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sam Donaldson. Remember Sam Donaldson?
Yeah,
he was White House correspondent for a long time. He is 92 today.
All I remember about him is the bad toupee. I mean, he was really.
And we just talked about yesterday was Wig Day.
Yes. So, he was a very good reporter, by the way. But
yes.
Bad toupee.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah.
And also one other birthday, infamous though he is. Joey Buttafuoco.
Oh yeah.
Is 70 years old today.
Yeah, not a good guy.
Long
By the way,
Island Lolita, I think is what it was.
Here's something that might affect a lot of people. This is a sugary twist that nobody expected. For a while, experts thought that GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro would crush the candy business. Smaller appetites mean fewer snacks, which leads to sadder chocolate factories, right? Turns out not so much. The gourmet Swiss chocolate company Lindt, L-I-N-D-T, you see what TV, looked at new data and found premium chocolate sales jumped nearly 17% among GLP-1 users last year. So here's the question. What's going on? Instead of mindlessly munching on chips or pizza, the CEO of Lindt said they are upgrading to premium products. So apparently the new diet plan is simple. Make your chocolate count, right?
I like that idea.
Yeah. So what are we doing this morning? We're sitting here eating Gertrude Hawk chocolates that you gave me as a birthday present. And good stuff.
So let's talk about a poll. This one is about what we think of AI and whether we can tell what we're seeing on the internet is true.
A majority, 53% of voters say they believe AI will change a lot how Americans live. But can they tell the difference between true life and what's AI generated? About 60% fall somewhere between a great deal and at least some being able to spot a fake photo or video when they see it. A vast majority, 89%, feel they should be clearly told up front when content is AI generated. When voters were asked if they were concerned if AI would take control of humans, 32% said not very, 28% were very concerned, while 24% described themselves as extremely concerned. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
And 22% said too late. That was the deal. Here's something. The happiest towns in America. There's a small town in Texas called Happy with the motto, the town without a frown. About 600 people live there happily, I guess. But a study marked more than 180 of America's biggest cities by happiness using factors like life satisfaction scores, depression rates, physical and emotional health, income growth, employment, job satisfaction, and weather. And the 10 happiest cities in America are Fremont, California. Check this second one out, Mark, because I know you have some experience. Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yeah, it's because they don't have.
They don't know any better.
Yeah,
if you stayed in Bismarck, you're probably happy.
You're probably looking at a map saying it'll take too long to get somewhere else.
This next one I can believe because I've been there, Scottsdale, Arizona. In fact, I stayed at a place just north of Scottsdale. You know what the name of it was? Carefree, Arizona.
Oh,
yeah. I was there for a wedding for a week. South Burlington, Vermont. Fargo, North Carolina. What North Dakota? Fargo.
Yeah.
Overland Park, Kansas. I mean, these places are in places where if you're there, you're happy because you don't know any better.
That's right.
Charleston, South Carolina. I can believe that. Irvine, California, which is right there on the coast. Pretty good place. Gilbert, Arizona, and San Jose, California. And the 10 cities at the bottom are Detroit, which ranked at 182nd, Memphis, Shreveport, Louisiana, Cleveland, Huntington, West Virginia. Man, if you're stuck in Huntington, you're in a bad place. Toledo, Ohio, Augusta, Georgia, where they're having the Masters. How could that be unhappy? Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Dover, Delaware, not too far from here, and Akron, Ohio. That's 3 Ohio cities, by the way, in that group.
Well, they're older, kind of Rust Belt kind of things.
Yeah, maybe you're not that happy being around there. So I just thought that was an interesting study this morning.
One more quickie, because it's important in sports. The NFL New Year begins today.
The new NFL league year gets underway today at 4 Eastern, and free agents can officially sign with teams. The NFL has seen a flurry of moves over the past 2 days, including the Chiefs trying to reload after a wildly disappointing season. Kansas City will reportedly sign Super Bowl MVP running back Kenneth Walker III to a 3-year deal worth up to $45 million. Walker went over 1,000 yards last season with the Seahawks and was huge in the playoffs, rushing for 135 yards against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Walker is the 4th Super Bowl MVP to change teams the following season. Joe Morgan, Fox News.
And maybe the big story of that last night, Max Crosby, who was going to come from the Raiders to the Ravens, the Ravens turned him down in that deal. And so he is not going to be with the Ravens now. As of last night, that Tuesday night, they made that decision not to keep him. He's on the mend, by the way. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jeff Coleman, principal at Churchill Strategies and co-host of Morning Light, joins us here to talk about, the way we talk with each other. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 7 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth. You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. It is hour number 2 on a Wednesday morning. So glad you could join us here on WOYK. All brought to you by Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street, New York, majoring in helping you coming off the street of Main Street. Well, there's a redundancy department thing. But, what you need representation. Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law, are ready to help you at 117 East Market Street right here in New York. Also, Kindness Worldwide at kindnessworldwide.org. What can you do to bring kindness to your community today? Our text line is 833-478-4729. We welcome you to text throughout the show on anything that you are really thinking about. It's our Back 9 text line. Back 9, the best indoor golf facility you're going to find anywhere here in the York area. Premier, using TGL, the same thing you're seeing on TV right now on ESPN with the indoor golf. And, of course, that's right out there at 259A Pauline Drive in the South York Shopping Center right next to Giant. And everyone is flocking out there now. Check it out at theback9.com/York-PA. And also, our question of the day is up today at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And the question of the day was, there was a study done with kids saying, how long could you go during the day without having to use your smartphone? And could you make the whole day through? And 0% made it. So my question was, could you make it the whole day without using your smartphone? Just a very simple question today. And you have a chance to answer that. Just go in there to Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. And don't forget, you can also podcast our show afterward today, WOYK on YouTube. So we have lots of ways that you could get to us today. But again, don't be afraid to text us throughout the show, 833-478-4729. This hour of the Gary Sutton Show brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. Keith and Becky Rill are educating people all over the area here in York County and beyond about what Medicare is all about, and what they're going to do in the long run is give you peace of mind. Yeah, they'll tell you about the best plans for you, the simple enrollment process, all the different questions that come up about things like Medicare Advantage, Medigap, prescription drugs. They saved me $1,500 this year on prescription drugs. They did. And they can do the same kinds of things for you, depending upon your situation. Give them a call today at 717-487-4382, or email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net, and their website, your-medicare-solutions.net. With that, we turn this morning to Jeffrey Coleman, principal at Churchill Strategies. He also is a co-host on Morning Light every morning at 9 p.m. on Lighthouse TV, and he's with us here today on the Gary Sutton Show. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
Always the highlight of my Wednesday. Good morning to you, Gary.
I'm appreciative of that. I read an article today that came out of USA Today. It was by Bethany Rogers, and it said up to 6.4% of Pennsylvania adults could be problem gamblers, a study finds. And they say more than half the calls to Pennsylvania's gambling helplines are now mentioning online gaming as the focus of their compulsive behavior, as these digital platforms continue to grow in popularity, according to a recent study. And I wasn't surprised by this at all. They surveyed more than 3,500 people in this, by the way, and they found that between 2.5% and 6.4% of Pennsylvania adults are problem gamblers. Now, maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but with the growing amount of advertising and growing amount of online stuff that we have, this is kind of something that we should have expected, right?
Yeah, remember one of the stories that came out earlier this week, the man who made, was it $1 million betting on whether or not we would go to war with Iran.
Yeah.
You know, we're betting on whether the chicken crosses the road, and it is becoming so much a part of our sports culture. Now an entire budget hinges on whether or not the governor gets a 52% tax on so-called skill games. Now, skill games are a slot machine,
right? Right.
And then if you rewind it all the way back to the debate we had when I was in the legislature in 2003, 2004, the legalization of almost 70,000 slot machines. The whole premise of it, the whole model, only works if you have chronic addicted gamblers. That's it.
Wow.
It doesn't work. It doesn't provide enough revenue for the casino operator and for the state unless you have people who are addicted. And so the solution, the answer was not to provide profit and loss statements or printout of your losses to the people who were, stuck at the slot machine at the local casino. The solution was to put a 1-800 number at the bottom of the billboards required in all the advertising.
Yeah.
That was it.
Makes you feel better.
Makes you feel better. And I'll be very honest. There were so many people that night. It was I'm thinking it was July 4th, 2003 or 4. And I talked to so many members who said, this is going to kill our communities. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is going to be a bad thing, but I have to vote for it.
Yeah.
And now the legislature, particularly lawmakers from central Pennsylvania, conservative groups are pumping in millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars from the skill games industry to try to make sure that skill games are on every corner in Pennsylvania.
I know.
And they're justifying it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because we'll make money. We're going to make money for the state. We're going to help seniors. We're going to help all these. I always love when we have these different kinds of things, and they'll say, well, this might be questionable as far as some of your moral or ethical things, but it's going to help the seniors, or it's going to help the kids, or it's going to help some group over here. And you go like, wait a second, we're building this on a garbage heap. What are we doing here?
All I want is a legislator to do before they vote for is to stand up and argue for the morality of why it is a good thing.
Yeah.
Why is it a good thing in a laundromat where people who are primarily working poor, struggling, have to use a laundromat? Why, right in front of children, are there blinking, arcade-looking skill games, which he pulls mommy, she pulls mommy over to play?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
And we're looking here in Pennsylvania, for example. They posted record revenues, 24-25, 50% jump in earnings. 50% jump in earnings, which tells you what a problem it is. And they say people who gamble only gamble offline, whether by buying paper lottery tickets or frequenting casinos or visiting bingo halls. They tend to have the least likelihood of sliding into addictions. This is according to the PSU researchers. They found that in their annual surveys. Only 15% of those respondents said they gambled on a weekly basis. So they so that makes it better, right? We all feel better now. Good grief.
Yeah. Look, Gary, I don't want to sound like a Puritan here, but the whole idea at the very beginning of Pennsylvania, when Penn was talking about what will make Pennsylvania work, and one of the anchors was you can't have a culture, you can't have people who are addicted and chronic gamblers. You can't do it. So gambling was not a part of the original charter of Pennsylvania because he thought it's potent enough. Now, the difference in gaming and gambling today is it is predicated on this ability. Not only do you not have to put the quarter into the machine, all you have to do is press your hand down, and now you can automatically bet.
Right.
So I have a real passion for helping people understand how calculating the gambling industry has been in their systematic takeover of Pennsylvania, community by community, and vulnerable communities who need revenue the most, and a state that is addicted to spending is going to find itself addicted to gambling.
And manipulation is a word that comes to mind here because they know how to manipulate people once they get you in the door. The problem is getting you in the door. Like I was thinking about this the other day. I thought, I don't gamble, okay? I mean, I don't go out and get – now, where I shouldn't say that totally because I do gamble on the golf course, but it's a fun thing. We play like a $2 Nassau, and I control some of that. So I guess
when you get on the radio in the morning.
And I gamble every morning that people might listen, and they'll invite me back tomorrow. But, yeah, we do that. That's a big gamble. That's maybe the biggest gamble of all. But bottom line is I don't go to play games – because I'm not good at it, first of all, but more importantly, because I'm looking at that money and I'm cheap. I don't want to spend that kind of money. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go in there, and I think that I probably have an addictive personality that if I get in there and really liked it, I would probably do it. And I would do it more often. Now, I have a sense of responsibility to my wife and my family. So that's the biggest thing that keeps me out of there. But, once you're in there, I mean, you can be manipulated so easily without really even knowing it. And I think that's the biggest problem I have.
I want to be very careful to say that I'm not telling people you can't do with what you want to do with your money. If you want to throw it out the window, perfully fine. If you want to bet on a turtle crossing, you can do it.
Mark and I will be waiting under the window, by the way, but go ahead, yes.
The difference, though, is when you say we're going to fund the government, and the funding is going to be conditioned on you smoking, drinking, gambling,
sin taxes,
prostitution. If there's a predictive model out there, we now gamble on it.
Right.
It is changing our culture, and it's changing a generation of young people.
No question about it. But we say, hey, but it's for the senior citizens. It's for the kids. It's for this. It's for that. And that makes it okay. So it's called, I think the word is rationalization, last I checked. But there you go. Hey, what do you have coming up this morning on Morning Light?
Well, we're going through all the big questions around war. We've been talking about, and it kind of, hey, before we go to war, what are the questions? And throughout this week, we're talking about whether or not, for example, gambling on war. Whether or not, why do we humanely treat political prisoners and opponents? What is a just war? All those questions all week long, and we thought we had to kind of stop and pause and ask bigger questions. And hey, how many? And yes, we're talking about how many American service people lost their lives. But we're also saying let's rewind and ask the big questions before we keep going another week without thinking about them.
What's interesting is what we're calling it the war in Iran, when only the Congress can declare war. So we say, well, it's a war in Iran, but it's not really a war. It's kind of an action, and we're just, and we've had a lot of those since World War II, haven't we? We really haven't had a war, but it's been a war, but it's not a war in name because Congress didn't really declare. So we get into all this, the semantic gymnastics that we kind of go through on a regular basis.
Red Cross says we have 120 active conflicts around the world. Most of those are not declared wars, but there are people fighting and dying on behalf of somebody's cause.
But it's not a declared war, so they're really not dying, or are they?
Yeah. It really minimizes the sacrifice of
it does. No question about it. You couldn't be more right if you wanted to be. Of course, people can watch you 9 o'clock this morning on Lighthouse TV right here in our area. It's channel 49. Or as you always tell us, on the web at
morninglightlive.com.
Morninglightlive.com. Deborah Pinkerton, Jeff Coleman, and they are always really good. And those are questions I'll be watching because I'm really interested. I think there are a lot of people of goodwill that have a lot of questions right now that aren't yet answered. And we'll see.
And it's okay to ask them.
It's okay to ask them, yeah. You don't have to be political and ask him. You just have to be a concerned citizen or a concerned human being, and there you go. Jeff, always good talking to you on a Wednesday morning. Thank you, and have a great rest of your week.
Gary. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Jeff Coleman here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. And coming up next, we find out more about your Medicare solutions with Becky Rill, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
And it's up to the captain. It's up to Aaron Judge. Judge swings and misses, and Italy has pulled off a stunner. The biggest win in Italian baseball history. They shocked the United States 8-6.
On Fox Sports 1, Italy jumped out to an 8-0 lead last night against Team USA in the Americans' fourth and final game of the pool stage of the World Baseball Classic, possibly the final game for Team USA in this tournament. Because Italy has a 3-0 record and Team USA finished 3-1, the U.S. needs help to stay alive in the tournament. If Italy beats Mexico tonight, the United States would advance. But if Mexico beats Italy tonight and Mexico scores fewer than 5 runs in a 9-inning victory, it would move on and the U.S. would be out. Game tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. NBA History Tuesday from Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat.
81. He has tied the late Kobe Bryant. 82 points. 83. 83 points for Bam Adebayo. He will come out of the game and hear it from the crowd.
On FanDuel Sports Network Sun, Bam Adebayo set NBA single-game records for the most free throws attempted and made. 36 of 43 from the line, 83 points in all. The Heat won their 6th in a row, 150-129 over the Wizards. Men's college basketball, Hofstra University advanced to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 25 years. Hofstra won the Colonial Tournament final over Monmouth, 75-69. NFL, because of medical concerns, the Baltimore Ravens have backed out on their trade for Raiders All-Pro defensive end Max Crosby. It's Game On with the Fox Sports app, available wherever you download apps. I'm Jared Fax.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
The USA lost to Italy. Italy? I didn't even know they played baseball in Italy. They're down 8-0. They lose 8-6 last night. Now they got to root for Italy to beat Mexico tonight and score more than 5 runs. And we lost to Italy with the USA baseball. What the heck is going on? I asked that question this morning to Keith Rill, who joins us here from Your Medicare Solutions. We lose to Italy, Keith. I mean, it's like, I didn't even know they played baseball in Italy, for heaven's sakes. Good morning, Keith. How you doing?
Good morning. I could understand if we lost to them in soccer or something like that, but not baseball.
Sure. It's Italy. It's baseball. Come on. Baseball is our American pastime, for heaven's sake. So you have to talk me down off the ledge this morning, my friend. How you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. And 83 points by Dan Adebayo last night also. I mean, that's the second highest number ever, except to Wilt Chamberlain's 100, which he scored here in Hershey back in 62. So 83 points. You know a little something about basketball. Your son, Ben, plays for Shippensburg and was part of the state championship team at Central. But, 83 points in a game, 36 out of 43 from the free throw line. This guy's arm had to be tired out by the end of the game.
I don't think it counts because it was against the Wizards.
True basketball
I don't think it
fan.
counts.
I got you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Keith Rill with us here this morning. Your Medicare Solutions. You can find them at your-medicare-solutions.net. They're the sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show. But one of the things that you wanted to answer this morning, Keith, was, how do you enroll in Medicare? And a lot of people ask that question as they near that time. And there's a couple different answers on that, aren't there?
Yeah, there definitely is. A lot of people think, it's Medicare. I have to go through, Medicare to enroll, but that's actually not true. The gateway into Medicare in terms of enrollment is actually the Social Security Administration itself.
Yep.
So that's an interesting fact. And the other thing is that sometimes people start their retirement benefits, that's those, monthly payments, through Social Security. They actually start that early, before their 65th birthday.
Right.
So if people are collecting those benefits ahead of their 65th birthday, then they'll automatically be enrolled in Medicare about 3 months before their 65th birthday month. So that's probably the easiest way to enroll in Medicare is really an automatic enrollment.
So if you're not collecting Social Security, then beneficiaries will need to actively enroll. And there's 2 ways to enroll there, right? You call your local Social Security office, the one, but there's another way, too, by going to a website with the government, right?
Yeah, exactly. So SSA.gov is the website online that manages kind of the gateway into Social Security. So beneficiaries can create an account online and actually enroll in Medicare using the online portal for Social Security. It can get a little confusing, obviously. People are trying to figure out, should I enroll in Medicare? Should I not enroll in Medicare? What the heck happens if I get my Medicare card in the mail and I'm still working? There seems to be an infinite number of combinations that cause questions and confusion around this subject.
Are you finding, Keith, in your meetings with people that they're, and I would be one of those, I'm working full time, and yet I also collect my Social Security benefits and Medicare and all that, that there are more and more people like me who are out there working past the age of 65, even past the age of 70, and but they're collecting all this, and then they say, well, how much do I have to pay? What's going on there? Those kind of questions come up all the time, don't they?
Oh, my gosh, every day. And it really comes down to each individual person's situation. Some people have really good benefits through their employer, and they're wondering, well, do I have to enroll in Medicare since I have health insurance through my employer?
Right.
And the answer is, well, it really all depends. We should take a look at your employer coverage.
Right.
Maybe you have a spouse also that's on your employer coverage. Maybe you don't have employer coverage available. So all those kinds of questions and combinations of scenarios present, some confusion, and we've just got to take a look at those and see what the best option is for each individual, and that's something that we help people noodle through.
And of course, one of the things too, if you don't know a lot about this, and a lot of us don't, I didn't know a ton about it, is you go into it and you say, what, you can't have your coverage from your company and at the same time be covered by Medicare. And then they have those trick questions they ask you when you are on Medicare, where are you getting some other coverage somewhere else? So you get into all that whole morass, right?
Exactly. And there's some situations, depending on the size of your employer, where you actually, you still have to take Medicare and maintain that employer coverage.
Wow.
So it's just, it's a crazy number of scenarios. But the beauty of it is that people don't have to walk through this alone.
Yep.
We can talk to them, take a look at their scenario, and honestly, probably about half the time, we say, look, your employer coverage seems to be better than Medicare. You probably ought to stay on that and then contact us,
right,
when you're ready to retire, and we can take the whole Medicare journey further at that time. So, and we always look through it and make sure that you're not going to get penalties and stuff like that when you sign up for Medicare down the line as well.
Do you ever? I know from experience, I sat down with Keith for 15 minutes and saved $1,500 for this year on prescription drugs. And the great thing you did, Keith, that I really liked, and I know Becky does the same thing, is you walk people through and say, here's what you're doing, here's what is, here's why. And I like to understand the whys, and you're very good at doing that in a relatively short period of time. But I was amazed. He's sitting there with his laptop and going, here, and I was amazed when I walked out. So thank you for saving me money this year. And again, for people, it's free. Your service that they come to you for is free, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything we do is 100% free. I always say, you get our brains for nothing. So,
right.
It's definitely worth taking advantage of.
Absolutely. And people can give you a call at 717-487-4382 to get an appointment, to get those questions answered. You can also email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. That's RILL at your-medicare-solutions.net. And check them out online at your-medicare-solutions.net and find out what they can do for you. They are educating your county and beyond like no one else. If you have Medicare questions, there's only one place you need to go. Keith and Becky Rill. Call them today at 717-487-4382. Keith, great stuff this morning. Thank you so much. Always appreciate it. And I have to keep that in mind about the Wizards, that it really didn't count for 83 points because of the Wizards. Yeah. So thank you, my friend. Have a great rest of your week.
My pleasure, sir. Have a great day, sir.
Take care. Keith Rill, right here on the Gary Sutton Show. Check out your-medicare-solutions.net. We take a break. We'll come back with more. It's 7:30. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOIK. I like this song.
J-Lo, If You Had My Love.
Yeah, I never heard this song, but I like it. I'm not necessarily, I don't listen to a lot of J-Lo music. I've heard some pieces that have been pretty good, but this is really nice.
Huge hit in 99.
Yeah, somehow I missed this one.
That's okay.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It's all right. That's what I'm here for.
No, I know. You're our music aficionado here. Mark McKenzie, Gary Sutton, back here on WOYK 737. And on a special time today, because we have another guest at 8:35 this morning from California. This morning is Julie Wheeler, our president commissioner of the York County Commissioners, who's been under the weather here of late physically and not mentally, but physically. And welcome in this morning, Julie. How are you?
Well, I'm feeling much better than I was a week ago this time.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, the disease hit the Wheeler family pretty hard, right?
It did. Both Michael and I. We were not doing too well, but we are on the mend now.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. A cheerier, rosier Julie here this morning. And anyway, great to have you in this morning. We've got a lot of things going on, and one of them, you attended an event where Bobby Simpson of Crispus Attucks was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. I just wrote a congratulations to him this morning on that. But you talk about a guy that's done a lot for the community with Crispus Attucks and the surrounding area there. Bobby Simpson has to go up as one of the people really important to your community in that regard.
Absolutely. The African American Cultural Alliance of Lancaster honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And when you think about it, he started as an interim CEO in 1979 at Crispus Attucks, and has been there ever since. And when you think about Crispus Attucks and how it's grown with programs, what they've done, it's really because of Bobby Simpson's leadership. I mean, it's Crispus Attucks and Bobby Simpson kind of go hand in hand. You can't say one without the other.
47 years of service there by my calculation, and just has done a great job. And Bobby is one of those guys, when you meet him, who is a friendly guy. But you know what? He's a guy, he's not much into awards. He's more into doing. And I think that would be fair to say about him. He's been a doer all those times, a visionary in a lot of ways, has helped to make that area around there grow, has helped people take housing and things like that. I mean, the stuff that they're doing, the education that Crispus Attucks has provided for the community, a place of meeting for the community, for senior citizens included. I mean, it's the wide ramifications of what he's done can't be minimized at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
You also attended this week a Model UN event at York Suburban. Tell me about that. That's interesting.
It was very interesting. So Anna Farah, she is the current UN president for the group at Suburban, and I actually met her through the Distinguished Young Women's Program.
Okay.
Talk about, running into people, building a relationship. She came in and wanted to do an internship at the county, which we did with her last year, and she reached out and said, hey, we're hosting this. So it was a really cool event. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There were about 30 students that participated from Suburban, and they each represented a country. And so throughout the weekend, it was, talking and advocating for what's important to their respective countries they're representing, but also teaching them the skills of listening, right? And as you and I both know, right, in this day and age, is we should be advocating for what's important to us, but we also need to be good listeners, right, and good collaborators. So I thought it was great, and Anna and her board put the 3-day program together, and I just gave students an opportunity to expand their horizons.
I think anything we can do to give our kids a chance to appreciate other cultures, other countries, and what they're all about, and some of the unique things that they need that maybe we don't, is really important. But the second part there, the listening part, is very important. People have often said to me, what is the most important thing that a talk show host should do on radio? And I said, it's to listen, and to listen intently so you can advance the conversation. And I am all in favor of people who are trying to advance the ability to have conversation, because we're missing way too much of that in today's society. We need to get back to the idea of listening to each other and then advancing the conversation towards solutions.
Yep, absolutely.
You attended the Special Olympics as well, and York is one of the hotbeds for Special Olympics, and we think about one of the most notable people in Special Olympics, Loretta Claiborne, who was alongside one of the original founders of that and has been a poster child for that over the years. So tell me about that.
She has been. So York County has been blessed the past several years to host the Special Olympics Indoor Winter Games, and that's what was occurring last weekend. And over 300 athletes from across Pennsylvania came to compete in those activities. And I have to tell you, what I admire and am inspired when I see these athletes, they are fierce competitors, fierce. But when one of their colleagues gets hurt or has disappointment, they all rally together, right? And they all lift that person up and cheer them on. And it's just, for me, it was wonderful to watch that camaraderie with the athletes.
Yeah, it's amazing when you can see competitiveness and sportsmanship meld together into a perfect kind of poem there, so to speak. And that's what happens with the Special Olympics, an appreciation of what people are trying to get done out there. And again, hats off to the many volunteers who help as well in coaching and helping these people to have a great experience. I think that was a wonderful thing. This afternoon, you're stopping by an event at the Capitol Theater for a preview of a program. What's that all about?
That was yesterday.
Oh, yesterday it was.
That
Okay.
was yesterday. That was...
Yeah, because you sent me this note yesterday, so sorry about that. Yesterday,
that's okay. Yeah. So,
we heard something about this, by the way, from Andy Orion last week. But tell us about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because Explore York was helping to host the event.
Right.
So this is part of events tied to celebrating the country's 250th.
Yes.
So this was an event. It's a film that's going to be on PBS, and it was about Travels with Darlie and her visit to York County. And so that's what was showcased yesterday. Very cool. I can't wait till it gets on PBS. Just showcasing some things that are really unique to York County. And then afterwards, there was a brief panel discussion with some folks in the community.
Now, what I'm interested, what did Darlie say about York County? Was there one thing that stood out that kind of caught you at all?
I don't know that there was one thing, but I think what was great is that when we look at communities across the United States, we are a community that helped shape America. And so, she highlighted some of our historical sites, local attractions, and of course, we've got some memorable food here that is unique to York County, so highlighting that as well.
Very nice. And finally, today, you're attending a press conference for ECHO. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, this is a great program. So it stands for Every Child Has Opportunity, and it's an initiative that's led by Community Connections for Children and the York County Economic Alliance. And it's focused on using a coordinated, data-informed approach, which I love.
Oh, I was going to say, it's right up your alley.
Data,
yep.
Right up my alley. But it's targeted to being able to provide high-quality early childhood education, particularly for children from low-income families. So what will be happening today, and we did this, we had an event last year as well, we are going to be awarding some funding to some programs, forgivable grants, for child care, early childhood education. So, this in partnership, if you remember, the county worked with our philanthropic community a few years ago, as we saw COVID hit and everyone was kind of bailing out of the early childhood education market. This in combination with the Early Childhood Educator Award Program has really helped to stabilize the child care capacity here in our community. So I'm really excited about being able to be a part of this later today.
What a busy segment today. A lot of stuff going on, and that's what we like. York County is a bustling place for a lot of things happening, and some of them happening maybe not getting the most publicity, and yet at the same time very important to what's happening here to people in the county.
Absolutely.
Julie, glad you're feeling better.
Me
Take
too.
care, and we will catch you next week at your regular time.
Okay.
You
all right.
got it. 8:30 next Wednesday morning, but thank you for being so gracious this morning about adjusting a little bit. We do appreciate it.
California, that's going to be still pretty early for them at 8:30.
Yeah, 5:30 it is out there at 8:30. So, but anyway, we appreciate you doing that
You're
today.
welcome.
And thank you for all the great information today as well.
All right, take care.
Take care. President Commissioner Julie Wheeler of the York County Commissioners here on the Gary Sutton Show on a Wednesday morning. We will take a break. We'll come back with a lot more still here straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Remember that?
I do. I think I do.
The TV show.
What You Got to Do when They Come for You? Is that the...
Yes.
Yeah.
TV show. It was Cops.
Remember, Cops. Yeah.
Remember Cops?
No, I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that show.
It was on, it started on this date, actually, in 1989. So that's 37 years ago.
By the way, I know you are a foodie. You really are. You're very good at it. I mean, you're a kind of a culinary specialist. But one of the great things that I have really come to enjoy over the past year or so has been Yanni's. And you hear me talk about it all the time. And I like it because it's Mediterranean food. It's Greek food. And one of the things, if you go to yannisgyros.com, that's YIANNIS gyros.com. And again, they pronounce it gyros. We pronounce it gyros, so you'll know what we're talking about. But they believe in the simple pleasures of life. And that's one of the things I really like about it. It's an honest, straightforward taste. Fresh ingredients, honest cooking, a touch of grease, and people who are kind to you when you walk through the door. And I always love that. But they've got fresh carved gyros out there at 310 Town Center Drive here in the West Manchester Town Center Shopping Center, or at 2815 Concord Road out in the Best Buy Shopping Center. Two great locations here in New York. But they have traditional, timeless tastes of grease. I mean, you can savor the rich, just carved off the spit lamb and beef gyros, topped with fresh crunch of lettuce and juicy tomatoes, plump juicy tomatoes for that, zesty onions, and that tzatziki sauce. That is the best you're ever going to taste. They have that right now at Yanni's Gyros. They've got homemade baklava, which is just like Yaya used to make, travel to Greece without leaving central Pennsylvania. And you have this wonderful phyllo dough stuffed with walnuts, coated in cinnamon, topped with Yanni's house-made syrup. It's all kinds of things. The love of Greece, fresh salads, wonderful burgers, souvlaki with pork or chicken on a stick right off the grill. It's these fresh, honest tastes, and you're going to love it all. You can go to yannisgyros.com right now and check it out. 2815 Concord Lane out at the Best Buy Shopping Center, or 310 Town Center Drive in the West Manchester Town Center Shopping Center. I'm out there all the time, and I love it for all the various things that they have. Now, you can order online. You can also head on out there to those locations. They've also got a Linglestown and East York, and West York, and East York location here we talk about. But Linglestown up in Harrisburg, also Union Deposit Mall. Yanni's is coming up everywhere right now. You can get your food delivered through DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. But Yanni's is the place to go for Mediterranean eating, great Greek food, and check it out today and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Yanni's, 310 Town Center Drive or 2815 Concord Road, all right here in York.
So let's talk about people who have money but choose to give some of it away.
Okay.
They are called philanthropists.
Correct.
And let's check out the top you know what I mean.
Spit it out.
Yes.
Michael Bloomberg gave $4.3 billion to charity in 2025, putting him at the top of the list of the Chronicle of Philanthropy's Philanthropy 50 list for the third year in a row. The Business News Empire founder and former New York City mayor spread the money around, supporting the arts, education, the environment, public health, and programs to improve city governments. Bill Gates gave $3.7 billion to the Gates Foundation. Microsoft's other founder, Paul Allen, died in 2018 and left a $3.1 billion bequest to start a science and technology foundation. Warren Buffett donated $1.3 billion to 4 family foundations that support a variety of causes. Chris Foster, Fox News.
Don't we hear a lot about Jeff Bezos' former wife, too? Doesn't she give an awful lot away? She's quite
Mackenzie.
a philanthropist. Yeah. By the way, here's something for you, and it happens in the area of medical stuff. Do you start each day with a multivitamin? A lot of us do. If not, you may want to start, because scientists are saying it could help slow the signs of aging. I've never seen this before. Researchers in Brigham and Women's Hospital, which is a major teaching hospital of Harvard Medical School,
Massachusetts,
tracked older adults for 2 years, and the group taking a daily multivitamin showed slower biological aging. The difference was about 2.5 to 5 months of reduced biological aging compared to the placebo group that took a pill that apparently didn't have anything. Researchers are saying that this is important because most anti-aging studies involve extreme diets or experimental drugs. Well, this is just simply a multivitamin each day that supposedly helps to slow down aging. So you better take your Flintstone vitamins right now before you forget. Get that in there and
you'll be
take
seeing
care of it.
You'll be seeing commercials now.
Right.
They will be inundating you. If you don't know, if you haven't heard that already, you will be. So, I used to take vitamins, but I don't take them anymore.
I take some when I can remember. My wife is religious about doing that, but I don't take them as often as I should. I take them sometimes, but I got to get better at that. I really do. Gold is one of the most valuable things on earth, along with printer ink, movie theater popcorn, and whatever is in the hotel minibar. Yeah, but now there's a new thing to add to the list: Cal gallstones.
What?
And that's not a joke. Cow gallstones have become one of the world's most valuable commodities and are literally worth their weight in gold.
What?
They have been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years to treat all sorts of things, including hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, and neurological conditions like strokes and unconsciousness. The demand for gallstones is now higher than ever before, and so is their price. According to the Wall Street Journal last year, I'm not kidding about this, the price of cow gallstones rose to $5,800 per ounce. The price of gold is around $5,200 per ounce. It seems like there are a ton of cows, so why are cow gallstones rare? The chances of cows forming gallstones increases with age, but most slaughterhouses around the world would prefer to slaughter cattle at younger ages to improve agricultural efficiency. In fact, cow gallstones, smuggling and robbery have become a thing in Brazil, where armed criminals are attacking cattle farms to steal the animals and any gallstones they can find. Then they sell them on the black market. Cow gallstones.
Wow.
How do you like that from Oddity Central? And that is an oddity.
Let's talk a little bit more about money.
Saving you money, I'm Hillary Barsky. Putting cash away in a savings account feels comfortable, but comfort alone can come with a price. Between inflation and the rising cost of living, any account earning less than 2 or 3% is basically losing value over time. Traditional savings accounts are good for two things: instant access, meaning you have liquidity, and Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation insurance, which guarantees up to $250,000 per depositor per bank against losses. That might give you peace of mind, but if you put 10 grand for a year in the bank at 0.5%, you earn just $50 in interest before taxes. And if inflation averages 2.5% over the same year, your real purchasing power can drop by more than $1,200. Yes, by parking your money in a savings account, you can potentially avoid market swings, but remember, traditional savings accounts preserve your balance, but rarely outpace inflation, weakening your money's value. Saving you money, Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
This hour of the Gary Sutton Show has been brought to you by your-medicare-solutions.net. You heard Keith Rill this hour. They can save you a lot of money on Medicare and also explain what Medicare is all about, all of the pits and mountains you could get in there. And Keith and Becky Rill will explain it to you. Your-medicare-solutions.net. Check them out today. Coming up next hour here on the Gary Sutton Show, Patrick Ball will join us, talk a little bit more about what LifePath is doing. We'll have Steve Shetter in here. And then Peter Samuelson, the director of the movie Revenge of the Nerds, will talk about happiness, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it's 8 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good. I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth. You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
One of my favorite lines from movies, right there it was, Mel Gibson as William Wallace. Yeah, just before the battle, firing his guys up, right?
Do you ever get the feeling that he's doing? Remember the look on his face a couple of times?
Oh yeah,
from the cop movies. Did he ever?
Lethal Weapon.
Yes. Did you ever get the feeling that?
Well, that and then later on, The Patriot, which is the American version of Braveheart.
Yes.
When he does the same thing in the Revolution, he always gets that crazed look just before he wipes people out. Yeah, it's that crazy look in his eyes.
Yes.
You know.
Anyway.
No, you're right. It's Mel Gibson.
Yes.
As we say so often, Mel Gibson playing Mel Gibson in a different role.
Right.
But yeah, I love that movie. It was just really good. But Mel Gibson always plays Mel Gibson. He's kind of like a nutty, crazy guy sometimes. And there you go. Anyway, all of this being brought to you by Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law at 117 East Market Street right here in York. You can give them a call today at 717-846-8811. They serve the main streets of York County. Yeah, people need legal representation, legal advice. That's where you want to go on estate planning, estate administration, municipal law, family law, divorce and custody, even military law. Andrew Harold, for example, has dealt in military law for a while in the JAG Corps and is now right there with Anstein and Sparler. And you can give them a call, as we said, 717-846-8811. They're right here at 117 East Market Street, right here in downtown York. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5, and they have been serving the York community since 1937. Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, and of course, Kindness Worldwide, our other presenting sponsor, all started by Kevin Smith right here in York County. But man, is it branching out around the world, and especially with the film right now, for such a time as this, being seen by people in countless theaters everywhere, and even places like Palermo, Italy, for example. Why not you? Why not us? Why not right now? Kindness is free. And, you know, it's the world's greatest superpower, you think about it. And all it requires is for us to make a personal choice to just unleash the vast potential of kindness. And a lot of you are doing that every day, but there are still more things that we can do in terms of spreading kindness around the world. Why don't you join the movement today and check out kindnessworldwide.org. And, of course, our Back Nine text line, the Back Nine, the premier golf installation here in York. Check them out at theback9.com/golf-York-PA. And they are ready for you to come on out there and enjoy playing some of the finest golf courses in the world indoors in climate-controlled atmosphere. We were talking about heat the other week. Now we're talking about air conditioning. But it is just a great place over there, 259A Pauline Drive in the South York Shopping Center. Again, theback9golf.com/York-PA. And you can check out our question of the day at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, which is kind of like our main page. The Gary Sutton Show on Facebook is where you can find all of our stuff that we post, my little videos and things like that come up. And today's question is, could you go through a whole day without using your smartphone? That was based off a little study I found this morning where kids said no. Not one kid could go through a day without looking at the smartphone. Don't forget, we're also on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and what else am I missing? LinkedIn. Yeah, all of those. You can find our show afterward, podcast at WOYK on YouTube. So all of that right here on the Gary Sutton Show. And we check in now with our good friend Patrick Ball from Life Path Ministries. We were talking about them last week and all the good that they're doing here for York. And we were going through some statistics last week, but Patrick, who is the head of Life Path Ministries, here with us this morning to talk about it a little bit more. Good morning, Patrick. How are you?
Doing great, Gary. How are you doing?
Patrick, if I were any better, I'd be you today. I'm serious. I'm that happy. You're a guy. You're kind of a low key guy, though. I mean, I've met you and gotten to know you a little bit. You're kind of a low key guy, but I get the sense that the cauldron is always burning inside you in terms of LifePath. Of course, you're also head of the York Fair, but LifePath is where we're kind of spending some time now. And last week, you gave us some really interesting statistics on how that has increased the need here in York County over the years. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so I think we've got a couple other statistics I think are interesting, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to talk about one of the newer programs that we implemented.
Okay.
One of the services we provide is hygiene services, right? And so that's anything from someone's out on the street and they want to brush their teeth, they can come in, get a toothbrush, some toothpaste, things like that, or if they need a shower. We run public showers every day from our campuses 1 to 3 o'clock. And recently, we've actually added showers from 5:30 to 6:30 because folks who work, right? There's a lot of people who are living outside, living in their vehicles, maybe don't have utilities, but still have full-time jobs, but still need access to, again, that basic human dignity is one of those themes we keep coming back to. But if you look at our increase in hygiene services, we were up about 36% from 24 to 25. But if you go all the way back to 2020, we counted right around 2,400 of those encounters. And this past year, 2025, we had over 36,000.
Wow.
And again, I think it really shines a light on the services that people need. And, we continue to bring those to our locations so that people can access them. But I think it really speaks to just the volume of people that are outside and in need.
And I think there's a lot of people that are listening to this today, Patrick, that say, how do we get there? How do we get to those moments? And we mentioned some of that last week, but I think it bears repeating on some of the things that happened. COVID changed a lot of things, but costs have increased for people. There are a lot of things that lead to the situations where you may find yourself homeless or you may find yourself in need. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, no, I think you got it exactly. So, COVID threw a lot of things off in the market. There were a lot of protections in place for people who were tenants. And when those protections were, lifted, and landlords had to make some in some cases tough decisions as far as what's my rent rate going to be, those kind of things. And then I think you introduce basic supply and demand. There's just a lack of real supply of affordable housing, not only in York County but across the country. And we hear about that a lot. And that's really for a full third of our guests. That's the reason that they're with us, right? They come to us and say, "Hey, my rent got raised, $200, $300, $400 a month when my lease was up, and I just have no mechanism to make up that difference." And so we bring them in and help them get stabilized, and then sort of figure out what that next step is, and then help them find some affordable housing.
We're talking with Patrick Ball, the supporter of LifePath Ministries. Patrick, I was looking at your webpage at lifepathyork.org. And I was interested in the history on how far back it went. You guys started back in the 1950s, right?
1962, actually. Yeah. We had some pastors come together and form the York Rescue Mission.
Yeah. And I know there was a name, Carl Black, a former person who experienced a life-changing transformation, became the first superintendent of York Rescue Mission, right?
Right. And then, from there, just a long line of really solid community leaders have been involved with the organization, both as employees, but then also on the board.
Now, you are building a brand new facility as well. Tell people about that, because I think that bears some scrutiny here.
Sure. We've acquired a property. It's the old Pewterex facility. It's over on the corner of West Philadelphia and North Hartley Street at 475 West Philadelphia. Worked with Royal Square Development and Construction to acquire the property, and then also partnered with the York City Redevelopment Authority. We have the property actually sitting in the Redevelopment Authority, which allows us to avoid taxes and avoid insurance and carrying costs and things like that. So it affords us the opportunity of time, right, where we can do the right planning, we can start to lay out, and we can lay out and execute a capital campaign.
For people who are looking at you and looking at your group, and I've had a chance to take a tour and see the kind of good work that's being done. But go back to just for a moment, if you would, and tell people about the core values, because, again, it bears repeating. I know you mentioned it last week. but you have some very important core values that you hope for your guests and for community members to understand. Tell them about that.
Yeah. I think, of our core values, probably the one that we see play out the most day to day is radical hospitality, right?
Right.
And, that's really, I think, a mindset, right? I think as our staff and our team looks at things, whether you're at the front desk and you're welcoming people in at their sort of, sometimes their lowest point in their lives, right? And making them feel welcome, making them feel that someone cares, making them feel that there's hope, right? To providing a meal, right? Our culinary team does an outstanding job of preparing the food, serving the food, and, we continue to strive to provide, as much dignity as possible. And again, the new location will play into that. A real simple example is you see people standing outside on Market Street waiting to come in for lunch, dinner, evening curfew. When at the new location, they'll actually access services from the back, and it'll be under a covered canopy. And so, again, providing that dignity. But I think when we look at the core values, again, a lot of them are pretty standard and things that you would expect. But I think for me, the one that really stands out is the radical hospitality, because it changes the mindset from one of we're here just to kind of help to one of you're a guest in our house, right? And we're here to make you comfortable. And what can we do to help you feel comfortable so that you're able to, get your ducks in a row and work through the process of moving out of the shelter, because the shelter is not the long-term solution. Right? It's a temporary stop along the way. And again, we want to move people through the process of homelessness or the experience of homelessness quickly, with dignity and with less trauma. And we think if we can get people to the other side and this becomes just a small chapter in their lives, it doesn't become the book of their lives. It works a whole lot better, and they're set up better for success. And we think that starts with the radical hospitality.
Patrick, really well said. Really well said. Just a moment in your life, and you're hoping to move the one. There are a lot of services that you provide, but I saw the radical hospitality myself just as a guest taking a tour of the place. And, the place you have right now has a huge amount of space, and yet it was never set up exactly for this. The new place that you're going to have, as I think you explained to me, has less space, but it's going to be much easier to make that into the kind of situation that you think is going to be better in the long run, right?
That's absolutely right. We'll use about half the space when you come right down the square footage, but it'll be much more efficient. We're working with the architects right now, and we've engaged not only the architects and other experts, but more importantly, we've engaged our teams, right? And so the people who are on the front lines doing the work. We had a meeting last week with the architects, and we had our shelter team around the table. We have a meeting actually tomorrow with the architects, and we'll have our culinary team around the table, right? And it gives them the opportunity to be involved in the process from the ground up, right, and help design what they're going to use. And I think there's a lot of value because, as you know, the best ideas come from the people who actually do the work. Exactly right. So let's bring them around the table and get, capitalize on the genius of the partnership.
LifePathYork.org. Find out how you could also help. I mean, there is a great, this is one of the great ministries that's working in our community. And many times you don't hear about the work they're doing. There are a lot of ministries like that, but this is one that's helping a great number of people as guests who are trying to go through life and like all of us, have problems sometimes, and helping them to get through those moments on to success in life. And that's what Life Path Ministries is all about. LifePathYork.org. Patrick, we'll look forward to talking next week about yet another aspect of some of the things that are going on here in our community. Thank you so much for all you're doing and all the good people at Life Path are doing right now to help those guests to get on to a better life.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
My friend, thank you so much. Have a great week. Patrick Ball here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, we'll check in with Steve Shetter on Test Pest. Yeah, they are the sponsors of this hour. testpest.com. Steve has 50 years of service to the community in terms of helping you right now take care of those pests who are not wanted in your home. Yeah, those little four-legged creatures or little insects, like in my case, ants, and Test Pest is the place that you need to go. Testpest.com. They are the sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is 8:19.
Quickly to the right corner, McLean fires a three. It's good. Knocks down her third of the night, her 70th of the year. Timeout Emmaus, and Dallastown goes up 7. Dallastown wanted a foul. Now they have a steal. McLean ahead. Jamison the layup, and it's a 1-point game with 1:05 to go. Here's Scovich to McLean, squares, fires, and hits the three deep on the left wing. It's a 1-point game on her 6th trifecta of the night. DeVita spent her dribble. Right corner, Glover drives in, puts it up over the rim. Jamison the rebound. It's over. Dallastown is on to the quarterfinals. An overtime win. 68-65 in overtime. Another York Adams League team is moving on.
Dallastown will hook up Friday with Kidd and McMillan at a place and time to be determined. Meanwhile, their rival next door, Red Lion, also won last night as they beat Easton 46-40, and they go up against Archbishop Carroll, the number one team out of Philadelphia, out of the Catholic League there. Always a very, very good team. And Red Lion hooks up with them Friday night as well, as both Dallastown and Red Lion have made it to the 6A girls quarterfinals. And it's exciting this time of year. And you know what's interesting, potentially, those two could meet in the state championship game. Isn't that kind of interesting? You talk about the ultimate rivalry game there. It would be for the state championship, Mark. But they got some work to do before they get to that particular point. Tonight, speaking of 6A, it's going to be Central against Father Judge at 5:45 at the Geigel Complex in Reading. Father Judge, a defending state champion from last year. And, of course, Central, the state champion from 2 years ago. And they're hooking up at 5:45. And that's all going to be brought to you by WOYK. Daryl Henry and Andy Bria will be bringing you that tonight. And then the second game, which they'll also be broadcasted at 7:30, it'll be York High going up against Imhotep Charter, who has the most state championships of any team here in the state of Pennsylvania. They are the number one team out of Philadelphia this year. And so they're hooking up with York High in the second game. So two great basketball games tonight. You do not want to miss the 6A right here on WOYK starting at 5:45. Now, Steve Shetter couldn't be with us today, but I do want to let you know that Test Pest, Total Exterminating Services, you can find them at testpest.com, I think is the best extermination service in the area. And why is that? Well, not just because I signed up for it. I am a customer. I signed up for it because the prices were right, it was affordable, but most importantly, I read up on Steve Shetter and what Test Pest was doing. They serve primarily York, Lancaster, and Hanover area, but they're a local company. And I read about Steve, and I read up on what they do, and I read up on the fact that they give a free evaluation. I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll check that out and see what I think. So they come out, and they evaluated, and we had an ant problem at our house. Not the kind you see on TV on the one commercial, not the AUNT, but the ANT. And I hate ants. I mean, I am a fanatic about hating ants or anybody in my house who's not supposed to be there, like ants, critters, bees, whatever it might be, mice, you name it. Well, Steve came out, and I'll tell you what, they did an evaluation, and you talk about being complete. They were it. They were courteous. They knew how to go about dealing with us as customers, and they did it in a great way. And then they showed me the results, and they said, here's what we can do. And they did it, and we haven't had an ant since then. It's been over a year now. So I signed up for a quarterly thing where they can check quarterly to make sure I'm not getting those unwanted pests in my home like bed bugs or termites, anything like that as well. They can slip in there, ladies and gentlemen, and it's this time of year that they're starting to come out again when it gets nice. Why don't you check out Total Exterminating Services today? As I said, they serve York, Hanover, and Lancaster County. But right here in York, we love to have somebody we can see in the community, and Steve is in the community all the time. Give him a call today at 717-951-3868. That's 717-951-3868. Or go to Stephen.Shetter, SHETTER, at testpest.com. And they are ready to help you with residential and commercial pest control. They're locally owned. They're locally operated. And 1% of the net profits are donated to local charities. They do that as well. More than 50 years of experience for a guy whose face you're going to see right here in the community. And when you have a question, they've got an answer and they've got a solution quickly for you. Affordable programs designed for your needs. We're talking about Test Pest, Total Exterminating Services, trusted, local, family-owned. Check them out today at testpest.com or give Steve a call at 717-951-3868. And please tell him Gary Sutton, a very, very satisfied customer, sent you.
So we've heard a lot about Epstein files being released here in the U.S., but did you know that there were Epstein files being released in England?
Well, with Prince Andrew, we understand why.
There's even more, actually.
The British government's publishing files related to the appointment of Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States. Prime Minister Keir Starmer appointed him last February, then fired him in September over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson was arrested last month on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He hasn't been charged. There's evidence in the Epstein files released in the U.S. that Mandelson may have illegally shared in emails inside government information that could have been taken advantage of financially. The UK documents are being published in batches after review by the Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee. Police have requested that files that could compromise the criminal investigation not be released. Chris Foster, Fox News.
And up to the moment news here in the Strait of Hormuz, which a lot of us are really concerned about because of the gas prices going up. At least 3 ships were struck by unknown projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz today. Maritime Security Agency said as Iran traded strikes with the U.S. and Israel across the Middle East. Rescue teams were searching for 3 crew members after a Thailand-flagged vessel was struck. According to Thailand's Transport Ministry, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations and another vessel sustained damage from an unknown projectile off the coast of the United Arab Emirates. And a 3rd ship reported damage northwest of Dubai. We're keeping our eyes on that story. And the attacks apparently occurred after the U.S. struck over a dozen Iranian mine-laying vessels. And President Trump warned of military consequences if Tehran attempted to block ships from moving through the strait, where a fifth, 20% of our global oil and liquefied natural gas moves every single day. We'll keep our eye on that story for you as well, all here in the Gary Sutton Show. Coming up next, Peter Samuelson joins us live from California. He is the director who did Revenge of the Nerds. He also is a guy who's written a book called In Search of Happy, and he's going to talk to us next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is 8:30.
say there's potential.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in
Welcome
the
back.
shed.
It's the Gary Sutton Show on a Wednesday morning here on WOYK. I am Gary Sutton, Mark McKenzie here with you. And we've got a lot of guests over the years, but I would dare say probably none with maybe as much experiences in terms of being a philanthropist, in terms of being a film producer, going through life. He's also written a brand new book, but he's a guy who produced the movie Revenge of the Nerds, along with a whole lot of other projects. But he also is much more than that. He's written this book called Finding Happy, A User's Guide to Your Life and Lessons from Mine. Is a nonfiction self-help book by Peter Samuelson, who joins us this morning live from Los Angeles. He's a filmmaker, he's a philanthropist, and an all-around good guy, I understand, here from Kevin Smith. Good morning, Peter. Great to have you on the show. How are you today?
So well, 5:35 in the morning here, so I have a big cup of black coffee.
I tell you what, we so appreciate you getting up early with us, and thank you for taking the time. But, man, what a life you've had. I was reading about you, and we ought to have like an 8-hour show to go through all that with you. But, tell us a little bit about finding happy, because you're in a place where a lot of people are looking for happiness in California, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, the film industry, all that. Tell us a little bit about your book, Finding Happy, A User's Guide to Your Life with Lessons from You.
Yeah, happy to have the opportunity. So Finding Happy is the book that I wrote because I realized through my nonprofit, firststar.org, I've mentored hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teenage foster kids. And I have kind of pattern recognition of the stuff that is bothering them. I'm being bullied. What is a good risk? What is a bad risk? How can I tell the difference? My math teacher is mean to me. I'm lost in this class or that class. How do I find someone to love me and to love myself, and so forth? And I realized these are chapter headings. And then I realized I can illustrate them because as a kid, I made every mistake it's possible to make. So I wrote the book. It's selling like hotcakes, thank God. Thank you, Regalo, Simon & Schuster. And that's what the book is. Sort of the log line is what I know now that I wish I knew when I was 18. One of the great tragedies for kids in foster care, or any kid that doesn't have a mentor, is you're reinventing the wheel in your own life when those who went before you already made all those mistakes and could save you a whole lot of time. The big new thing that has happened in my life is that I've been appointed a Kindness Worldwide Global Ambassador, and we are actually doing something I think remarkable, which is we are going to make kindness as viral and as powerful as hatred.
Yes.
Hatred is on the ascendant. It doesn't matter what your politics are. Half the country doesn't agree with you.
Right.
So plus or minus, what are we going to do? How do we build bridges and so forth? And what we've built in Kindness Worldwide is a mechanism, a system, using the same mechanism as multi-level marketing, but there's no money in ours. The currency is kindness. You're in the supermarket, there's an old lady in front of you. She's clearly poor. She's counting out nickels and dimes, and she doesn't have enough money to pay for her groceries. You lean forward and you quietly give the teller your credit card, and you say, let me take care of this. She turns around and says, how can I ever thank you? You say, oh, well, thank you for thanking me, but what I really need you to do is pay it forward 3 times.
Right.
And you give her a pocket full of little business card-sized things with a QR code.
Right.
They link to a website. You get some points for helping her. She gets points for paying it forward. You get extra points when your effectively children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren down the pike, as they help people and do acts of kindness. Doesn't have to be financial.
Right.
Can be crossing an old lady over the road. Just make sure it is a road she wishes to cross. We're going to try and make it go viral. Lots of things, mostly hateful, go viral on the internet, on TikTok and YouTube and all the rest of it. We're going to do it with kindness.
Yeah. Yeah, we share the same distinction. I'm also an ambassador, and I, we're not doing it on quite as large a level, but I'm finding handing out kindness cards, talking to people about it, finding things to do every day. Most of us, we like to think are kind, but finding new things to do and being focused, I think, is something you're pointing out here, Peter, as well. I know you founded a couple different organizations during your lifetime. One of them, I know you co-founded Starbright with Steven Spielberg, if I'm not mistaken, Starbright World. But you also started an organization called First Star. Tell us a little bit about some of those as well and how they're being used maybe for kindness and also helping others.
Sure. We celebrated, coincidentally, last night, 43 years since the foundation of Starlight. We grant psychosocial wishes and services to seriously ill children. It's multinational. We're in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK. We've raised and spent in all of those years over $1.3 billion making children happy. It's not any more complicated than that. It's a pure idea. When a child is seriously ill, they experience pain, and what can you do? What can you do? Their family is in disarray. The younger siblings are jealous because the sick kid gets the attention. The older siblings have guilt. How come I didn't get ill? The parents have never discussed anything in a year with each other than how ill their child is. It's all awful. What do you do? What do you do? So 8 psychosocial services. We try to make that family happy. We try to give distractive entertainment and various other services to kids. It's enormous. It's strongly supported by Disney and Nintendo, and it's my big sort of original tentpole charity. And then First Star, firststar.org, we house, educate, and encourage high school-age foster kids for 4 years on university campuses. We have 13 of these academies across the country, each a partnership with a big university. Of course, foster kids should go to college. They
Absolutely.
just don't.
Yeah.
Less than...
I can tell why you're up with us early this morning, because I don't think you ever sleep with all these things going on. You also started something in 2013, which I was really interested in, called Aspire, which is short for the Academy for Social Purpose in Responsible Entertainment. And here you are a guy who produced 27 films, and you're talking about the social purpose in responsible entertainment. Tell me more about that, would you?
Yes, indeed. We teach high school kids and undergraduates to make PowerPoints, to present their ideas, and to help them learn. I think they should be making sophisticated little films. I've done that with, 15-year-old foster kids, for example, and they make films that move your heart. And I believe that audiovisual literacy is a thing. And that every kid, no matter what they're studying, it shouldn't be that in the university, the only young adults there who are learning how to make a little film are in the film school. Actually, it should be the engineers, the architects, and the English lit majors. They should all be propounding whatever it is they have to say audiovisually, and there's a way to teach that. How do you script it? How do you shoot it? How do you edit it? It's too long, make it shorter. Samuelson's rules for making films.
And I can't think of a better person to learn from than someone who's a master storyteller like you, right? I mean, you can show them all the different little tricks of the trade. And I know one of the things that you talk about a lot is the carpe diem, seize the day kind of thing. We remember Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society, seize the day, carpe diem. And you're helping kids to do that right now by taking risks, but at the same time showing them how to make those risks something that's going to be viable in a real product, like making a film, for example.
Yes, indeed. And why I'm so excited about Kindness Worldwide is I think we have to do this now. Our next generation are depressed, dismayed, worried, frightened, to think, regardless of the politics, this is non-political,
right,
but half the country doesn't agree with you and wants to do you down. Hatred is very strong. Hatred is an instinct. Unfortunately, I think it's carried in the genome at this point. It's when we were all scared people living in caves, and you can take the people out of the caves, but you can't take the caves out of the people, perhaps. We need kindness to stand up and beat its chest and to be just as viral and muscular and strong as a human instinct. It is in virtually every human being. I'm sure there are some people who are incredibly evil and don't have a sense of social justice or doing what is right for other people or being kind. But I think it's almost everyone that feels those things. We need mechanisms. We need to take from the world of business and the way the haters propagate. We need to propagate kindness, and that's what we're doing. The conference is in Fort Myers in May 14 through 17, and I'm going, and we're going to sort this out. My whole life in philanthropy has been actually making stuff happen as opposed to just talking about it. It doesn't count. A script is no good unless you make it into a film. You have to actually do it, and then you have to get the distribution right, and you have to move people's hearts and minds. That is what we are doing in Kindness Worldwide. I'm proud with you to be a global ambassador. Let's do this damn thing. It's overdue.
We're talking with Peter Samuelson here this morning, producer of Revenge of the Nerds, and also Finding Happy, a brand new book here that's out there. You kind of set me up well. Could you stick with us for one more segment, Peter? I want to talk with you a little bit more about this K20 that's coming up. And, the idea of kindness, but also finding happy. What can we do to find happiness? Peter Samuelson with us here on the Gary Sutton Show. We'll be right back with more from him right after this. Never a bad thing, right? Peter Samuelson talking about that this morning. I do want to remind you this afternoon at 4 p.m. they have a sale at Thomasville Country Auction. A lot of kindness out there, too. Jack and Cheryl Hooks are always ready to help your sale become a reality. Give them a call at 717-764-5403. But they have got an interesting sale this afternoon. It's the second estate sale of 5. There are hundreds of collectibles in this house, and maybe a once-in-a-lifetime gift you can find for someone else and show a little kindness there. Each sale will have a variety of collectibles. In it, remember, as far as the pictures, some of the items might be at a different sale coming up. Variety of muscle cars, Barbie dolls, glassware, baskets, brand new items in the boxes, etc. And, you know, right now, Jack and Cheryl Hooks are looking for collectibles for upcoming sales and real estate as well. Give them a call today at 717-764-5403. And they've been doing this for over 40 years. They can help make your sale a reality. And you never know when you're going to find that once-in-a-lifetime gift for somebody else you can pass on and put a little smile on their face as a little kindness comes to your heart. Call them today, 717-764-5403. And don't forget, Cheryl could sell you real estate, save you lots of money as well. Thomasville Country Auction, they have a sale this afternoon at 4 p.m., Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. WOYK News Time, 8:52, back with Peter Samuelson, who is our special guest today. He is the producer of over 27 films, but one of them you might have seen, Return of the Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds. Why I say Return of the Nerds? Revenge of the Nerds. Peter will slap me here verbally if I get that wrong. And Peter back with us here on the Gary Sutton Show. Also, Finding Happy, a user's guide to your life with lessons from mine. He's got that out there as well right now. But he was talking about the K20 coming up in Florida. And, Peter, I wanted to jump off at that for a moment. The K20 is a chance to get together to talk about kindness. And so many people are saying, man, what do we need to talk about? Everybody's kind, right? But there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be holistic. It has to, attack the problem of hatred from all directions. We're getting together May 14 to 17 in Fort Myers, Florida. And it's going to be spectacular because it is people who are concerned about what's happening right now to our young people. You know, they got through COVID, came out barely standing, and now they're living in a polarized society. This is apolitical or non-political. Doesn't matter what your politics are. Half the country doesn't agree with you, plus or minus. That's a very bad feeling for a young person. So what the antidote to hatred is, and frankly, it's what Finding Happy is all about, is we have to reimagine kindness. We have to amplify kindness. We have to make it muscular. It has to be strong and viral. And we have mechanisms for doing that, and working with state governors to recognize the most kind people in their states, and they are governors from both parties. This is a very strong, it's Kevin Smith and Alan Williams who put this thing together. Yep. I'm just the ambassador, but I couldn't be more proud of it.
Me too. I know the feeling well. And, you mentioned a word there, reimagine what kindness is about. Put a little meat on that bone for me, if you would, and how you look at that as reimagining kindness, because a lot of us do kind acts. And yet at the same time, there are so many things out there that maybe we could do even more to exemplify what kindness is really all about, and maybe to maximize kindness a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we need a system. In the world of, retail business, there's a thing called multi-level marketing. And sometimes it's for the good and sometimes it's for the bad. But the way it works is that people, whether it's Tupperware parties or whether it's Mary Kay Cosmetics, it's multi-level marketing. And it's a whole business model. Now, that is based on money and Tupperware, I guess. Ours is not going to have any money in it. The whole thing's volunteer, and it's a 501c3 charity. But our commodity is kindness.
Right.
So you help an old lady across the street. She says, how can I ever thank you? You say, well, okay, thank you for thanking me, but take these cards.
Yeah.
Go help 3 other people.
Right.
You don't have to cross them over the street. Maybe you'll give them advice, or just be kind to them. And you can either tap your cell phone on their cell phone, and now you connect it in through the QR code onto a website. You register, you get points. Who's the top points winner in each state? You know, this 6-month period, you get a medal from the governor of the state. And what we do is by doing 1 to 3 to 9 to 27, pretty soon by the magic of, exponential multiplying, you've got an epidemic.
Yeah, your networking possibilities are incredible there. Just about a minute left here with you, Peter. But I wanted to ask you, you've written a book called Finding Happy. I would dare say a lot of people come to your town looking for happy many times in films or other opportunities. What have you learned over all the years here, not just as a producer, but as a person on, what, if you were to tell somebody, here's how you find happy, what would be the simplest thing you could say to them?
Okay, in our declining moments here, let me say, from everything I've ever learned in my overly long life, I think to find happy, you have to get outside your own zone and help someone else. I believe if a young person wants to fall in love, find a significant other, what are you going to do? Go to a bar and find someone while both of you are drunk? You're going to flip left and right on an app? No. Yeah. Go volunteer. Look to the left. Look to the right. Who are these people? They share what you are interested in and concerned about. Ask one of them out for a coffee. I think the meaning of life and finding happy are doing acts of service. I teach it as a class to foster kids. They're all about a foot taller after we go help people together. And I think agency and a feeling of connection with the life force come from getting outside your own little narrow world and go volunteer. Volunteering is the meaning.
I can't put an exclamation point on any better than that. Thank you for taking time this morning. I hope people will read the book, Finding Happy, a book by Peter Samuelson, Simon & Schuster, the publisher. But I hope we could do it again sometime soon. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in the very near future.
I'm looking forward to it, maybe at that conference.
We look forward to that. Peter, thank you so much for taking time this morning. And get that second cup of coffee going right now, okay?
I might go back to bed.
Peter Samuelson with us this morning, movie director, author, and a guy who did Revenge of the Nerds. He's done 27 different films as director, and really interesting man. Great to have him aboard this morning. Do want to remind you that this hour has been brought to you by Test Pest, Total Exterminating Services. Steve Shetter is doing the job out there on a regular basis as he's helping people find happiness from pests. Keeping them out of your home. Give him a call at 717-951-3868. Total Exterminating Services. You can find them at testpest.com. Trusted, local, family-owned. They're right here in your community, and they are ready to help you today. And don't forget, Steve gives back 1% of his net profits in a kindness way, donated to local charities. Affordable programs designed for your needs. Test Pest. Steve Shetter at 717-951-3868. Mark? And I guess we're just about at the end there, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We're almost out. Is there
What an interesting guy he was, right?
He was. And, I wanted to ask him, if I could have asked him a question, it was like, we always say Revenge of the Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds.
Right.
It wasn't the greatest film. And I wonder if he did anything that would be a little bit more. That everybody's heard of Revenge of the Nerds, but,
I was interested that he founded an organization with Steven Spielberg at one time to try to help people. Well, we've had a great day with you today. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to all of you for listening in. Don't forget, we have basketball coming on tonight, a big doubleheader from the Geiger Complex. Central York High playing. Start at 5:45. We'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday show here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's 9 o'clock.